Now we move on to the Chief Executive's report.
Thank you. You'll appreciate that this is a shorter report than normal. That's mainly because the financials and performance data wasn't available when the report was written, largely as a result of its year end as opposed to end of the month. But I can say that performance and financials were on target. I just want to highlight one area out of here, and that was, you recall the opening of the Aranui Wainoni Community Centre. I met with the Lions Club International Foundation, and the opening was enabled by their very generous donation of $450,000, and we'd been working quite closely with them around the redevelopment of the community centre, and they had a lot of positive things to say about the partnership relationship between the council and the Lions Club International Foundation. But you also recall that they very quickly after the earthquakes donated funds to the city to support the earthquake recovery. So not only did they provide that generous contribution to the Aranui Wainoni Community Centre, but they also provided the temporary building for St Albans Community Centre, and that's a relocatable building, and given that the work is now progressing on the new St Albans Community Centre, they're keen to look at the opportunity to donate that relocatable building to the city to be used in other areas where there's a great need, and for a similar use in terms of earthquake recovery, which is a fantastic gift for the community. They're also interested in talking about how we can build on the partnership with the city in an ongoing way, and in particular aligning their local clubs with perhaps our local wards, so that in the terms of the work that they do, it's aligned with the priorities and the needs of local communities. So I think it's a fantastic arrangement and partnership that's been developing, and certainly we want to acknowledge the very generous contribution they've made in many ways to the city.
Thank you. Any questions? Yanni?
Yeah, I just had two questions. Thank you for the report. I just am getting a little bit of a sense of people that they're still not quite clear about the changes to the electoral system this time. So I just wondered, I know that we had previously a request that maybe it could go out in the rates notice, but do we have any sort of campaign in terms of just informing people of the new wards that they're in, and just making sure people understand, you know, the significant changes that are being made?
All right, so unrelated to this report, you're just asking about the election process.
Well, no, it's not about the election process. It's just about the information through the customer service channels to people about, you know, the new system in line with, I guess, like the rates notices that got sent out. Okay,
I might ask Mary if she can comment on the range of work and information that's being provided.
Okay, so there's been quite a large media communication strategy around this. So there's been a number of things in the press, on our website, and also sent out to people about new wards. In fact, the communications team, I think, were credited from Local Government New Zealand for doing the best campaign strategy to date, or election awareness campaign strategy to date. I think there will be some confusion about the wards going forward, and we are going to continue to have a communication strategy, to have meetings and to have things on the website. We're not intending for our customer service people to be able to advise people as they ring in, but to refer people to the appropriate information, because they won't know every street in the city well enough to be able to say it's in this ward. But they will be advising people to go to the website where they can key in their street address and find their ward automatically.
Mary, can I just confirm that the Commission also said that we had the highest number of enrolments?
Highest number of what, sorry?
Enrolments.
All right.
By 3,000?
This is the latest update, but it was the highest number of enrolments at that point.
Right. Okay. And just the second question was just around just the number of strategies that we've got going through into the election time, and I'm just wondering what the process is to kind of manage that in terms of decision making.
You mean in terms of the consultations and following decision making, or generally?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems there's a number of things that are like scheduled to kind of come back right around the election time. So have things like the consultation timeframes been extended, or have programs been changed to accommodate that?
So where it's appropriate, that's been done. As I understand, Council have said that they want to continue to make decisions right up until the elections, and so we're timetabling that so you can see ahead of time what will be coming to committees and to the Council.
Right, okay, so we will be making decisions right up until the election.
I understood that that was a decision that you'd made.
But it's not a question of making a decision. It's just a requirement that the council continues its business. There's a separation of campaigning from doing the work of the council, but obviously significant decisions that ought to be held over to the new council will be done so. So we won't be making sort of major decisions, and the council, the incoming council, will have referred to them the sort of decisions they ought to. Yeah.
So all the decisions that are being made right up to council are in line with the LTP.
Yeah.
So there's no decisions that will be made that are outside the long-term plan.
Yeah. Phil.
I just actually wanted to comment on an aspect of your report, Kay, and I find particularly pleasing, especially for local areas. And it's on page 24, the Facebook posts and hits on that. And clearly, like the Britain Superbike, it was very popular, and I see over 10,000 people thought that was great, or they had a good look at it. But what really pleased me too is that in the Rising Home community, over 8,500 people thought that was pretty great, and even more people commented on their interest in Rising Home being rebuilt. And that to me makes it really clear, or a clear indication that local heritage really is uppermost in a lot of people's minds, certainly in our communities.
Yeah. Tim.
Just on your page 7 or page 26 of the agenda, just under the health and safety, I know that we now have cameras on our parking wardens, which is absolutely fantastic. I think it's a great initiative. So the abuse, threats and assaults, it's dropped from 14 to 4. Do you think that's a direct result of those cameras being... I think it's an absolutely fantastic thing to put on, because they do get the rough end of the stick.
I think it's a range of things. I think certainly being able to record any events is helpful, and people are made aware that that's happening. I think there's also training for staff and how to de-escalate things, and make sure that they're not in a position where they could be subjected to abuse, threats or assaults. It doesn't mean it hasn't stopped at all, but certainly it's a whole program of activity.
Have you thought of, with regards to abuse and threats are one thing, but actual assault is a separate matter? Have you ever thought of dividing the two, or is it? It's just.
Well, certainly when they're recorded as specifically what they are. Okay. It's just helpful in terms of keeping them, at a manageable number.
Okay, thank you.
No, I haven't. I'll have a look back. Cool.
Just on that, actually, I spoke directly with one of the traffic wardens and the parking wardens, and he actually said that the moment someone spots the camera on their shirt, their aggressive nature changes significantly. So it actually has impacted quite a big degree out there, and I think it's a really good thing to see.
Yeah, it's just a shame we have to do that.
Yeah. It is a shame.
Yeah. But no, you're right. I've spoken to a couple of them as well, and it's really reassuring to them. So it's good.
Jimmy?
Thank you, Mayor. One question and one comment. The question is regarding the Lions Club International Foundation, because due to their contributor to the Christchurch community, I recall 3 years ago, I also partake of their funding to the temporary St. Albans Community Centre. But this time they contribute to Wanui Community Centre. I'm not sure whether you or Mayor on behalf of City Council, people of Christchurch, present a certificate of appreciation to them or not. Because they are the key person, CEO, they came to Christchurch from overseas, am I right?
That's right. So I've
Yes.
met with them recently.
Yes.
So they've come in from overseas and met with me. With them. That's when we talked about a number of these issues.
Yes.
The Mayor has certainly written to them specifically, acknowledging their contribution and our thanks.
Okay. Second question is comments regarding to the draft multicultural strategy. Because I'm currently the chairperson of City Council multicultural strategy. So this time I think it's a very good model, As elect member, we partake with coordinate with the staff together. I partake of the Inform Group publication, University of Canterbury publication, as well as the Christchurch Multicultural Council organize a publication. I think we coordinate is very good as a team, attracting more people in the community, the leaders, team up. I think that we can get the best outcome and will reflect to this draft the strategy.
Correct.
I'd
And
like
it's
to,
been a good
appreciate
team approach and
the
had very good
staff,
feedback.
Contribution. Thank you.
Very good. All right, would someone like to move that the report be received? Bill, seconded Paul. That motion, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That's carried. Next